Katie Morrison pushed through the hospital doors at 3 in the morning, her scrubs still carrying the smell of antiseptic and blood. 14 hours of surgery had left her exhausted, but the young man on the table had survived. That was all that mattered. She walked through the empty parking garage, her footsteps echoing off concrete walls. The night air was cold against her face. She was halfway to her car when the lights appeared. They were not like any lights she had seen before. They were bright and blue, coming from above. Katie stopped walking. Her training kicked in immediately. She looked up at the source. Something large hung in the air above the parking garage. It was dark and massive, blocking out the stars. The blue light grew brighter. Katie tried to run, but her legs would not move. Her body lifted off the ground. She felt weightless. Floating upward toward the strange craft, she tried to scream, but no sound came out. The world around her disappeared into bright light. When Katie woke up, she was lying on a cold metal floor. Her head hurt. She opened her eyes slowly. The room was dark, lit only by strips of purple light along the walls. The air smelled wrong, like chemicals and something else she could not name. She sat up carefully, checking her body for injuries. Nothing broken. No bleeding. Good. Other people were in the room with her. 3 of them. A young woman was crying in the corner. An older man sat against the wall, staring at nothing. A teenage boy was trying to open the door, pulling at it with his hands. The door would not move. Katie stood up. Her legs were steady. She walked to the crying woman first. The woman looked up at her with red eyes. Katie knelt beside her. "Are you hurt?" Katie asked quietly. The woman shook her head. "Where are we? What happened?" "I don't know yet," Katie said. "But I need you to stay calm." "Can you do that?" The woman nodded, wiping her eyes. Katie moved to the older man next. He had a cut on his forehead. It was not deep, but it was bleeding. Katie tore a strip from her scrub shirt and pressed it against the wound. "Hold this here," she told him. The man did as she said, his hands shaking. Katie went to the teenage boy at the door. "It's locked," he said. "We're trapped." "I know," Katie replied. She looked at the door carefully. It was smooth, with no handle or keyhole. There was a small window at the top. She stood on her toes to look through it. The hallway outside was empty. The walls were the same dark metal as their room. More purple lights ran along the ceiling. Everything looked wrong. Designed for something other than humans. Katie's heart beat faster, but she kept her face calm. She had seen bad situations before. She could handle this. The door suddenly opened with a hissing sound. Everyone in the room jumped back. A creature walked in. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, with gray skin and long arms. Its head was too large for its body. Its eyes were black and empty. It wore some kind of uniform, dark and fitted. It carried a weapon that looked like a rod with lights on it. More creatures came in behind the first one. They grabbed the humans roughly, pulling them out into the hallway. Katie did not fight. She watched everything, memorizing the layout. The hallway turned left, then right. They passed several other doors. Some were open. She saw more humans inside those rooms, all looking scared and confused. They were taken to a large room. It looked like a cargo bay. Maybe 50 humans were already there, sitting on the floor or standing in groups. Guards stood around the edges of the room, all carrying the same strange weapons. At the front of the room was a platform. A creature stood there, bigger than the others. Its skin was darker, almost black. It wore more decorations on its uniform. The creature spoke. The words came out as clicks and growls, but somehow Katie could understand them. There must be a translator somewhere in the room. "You have been selected for labor," the creature said. Its voice was cold and flat. "You will work in the mining colonies. You will obey all commands. If you resist, you will be punished. If you try to escape, you will die." The humans around Katie started crying and shouting. Some tried to run for the doors. The guards moved quickly, hitting them with the rods. Blue electricity jumped from the weapons. The humans fell to the ground, shaking. Katie stayed still, but her mind was racing. The big creature watched the chaos with what might have been satisfaction. I am Zeke Thor, captain of this vessel. You belong to me now. Your world has no defenses here. No one will come for you. Katie looked around the room more carefully now. The guards were spread out, but there were gaps in their formation. The ship felt old. She could see rust on some of the metal panels. The lights flickered occasionally. This was not a military vessel. It was a transport ship, probably meant for cargo. The guards looked bored, not alert. A woman near Katie collapsed. She was having trouble breathing. Her lips were turning blue. Katie moved without thinking, dropping to her knees beside the woman. She tilted the woman's head back, checking her airway. The woman was having an allergic reaction to something. A guard moved toward them, raising its weapon. Katie looked up at it. She'll die if I don't help her, Katie said clearly. Is that what your captain wants? Dead cargo? The guard stopped. It looked confused. Katie did not wait for permission. She turned the woman on her side. She pressed on the woman's chest in a specific pattern. Helping her breathe, the woman gasped and coughed. Air came back into her lungs. Her color improved. Other humans gathered around them. Katie looked up at their faces. She saw fear there, but also hope. They needed someone to tell them what to do. They needed someone who was not afraid. Katie had been a combat medic for 6 years before becoming a surgeon. She had worked in war zones. She had treated wounded soldiers while bullets flew overhead. She had learned to stay calm when everything around her was chaos. This was no different. This was just another battlefield. She stood up slowly, helping the woman to her feet. Zeke Thor was watching her now from his platform. Katie met his eyes without looking away. She had dealt with bullies before. They were the ship had been moving for 3 days. Katie had learned to tell time by the shifts of the guards and the flickering of the purple lights. She had also learned the layout of the cargo bay and the connecting corridors. The aliens were careless. They left doors open. They talked near the humans without caring if anyone listened. The translator in the ceiling picked up everything. Katie had organized the humans into groups. She assigned people to watch the guards and note their patterns. She had others count supplies and identify anything useful. The teenage boy from the first night, whose name was Danny, had good eyes. He drew maps on the floor using water from their rations. The maps disappeared when they dried, but everyone had memorized them. The woman Katie had saved was named Lisa. She had been a teacher before the abduction. Now, she helped Katie keep people calm and focused. The older man with the cut on his head was named George. He had been an engineer. He studied the walls and pipes, figuring out how the ship worked. Katie moved between the groups, checking on everyone. She treated injuries and sickness. She talked to people who were losing hope. She kept them busy with small tasks. Busy people did not panic as easily. On the 4th day, something changed. One of the guards approached Katie while she was checking a man's sprained ankle. This guard was smaller than the others. Its skin was lighter gray, almost silver. It walked differently, less aggressive. It stopped a few feet away. You are the healer, it said through the translator. Katie looked up. Yes, I am Vin, the guard said. I bring the food supplies. Katie nodded. She had seen Vin before, carrying containers into the cargo bay. Vin always set them down gently, unlike the other guards who just dropped them. Vin looked around, then moved closer. It lifted its uniform slightly. Katie saw a wound on its side, red and swollen. The infection was obvious, even from a distance. Can you help? Vin asked quietly. Katie glanced at the other guards. They were not watching. She gestured for Vin to sit. It will hurt, she warned. I know, Vin said. Katie had no proper medical supplies, but she had learned to work with what she had. She used clean water from the rations and a piece of cloth torn from someone's shirt. She pressed on the wound, draining the infection. Vin made a sound like a hiss but did not pull away. Katie cleaned the area as best she could. She wrapped it with the cloth. Keep it dry, Katie said. Change the cloth every day. If it gets worse, Come back. Vin stood up carefully. Thank you, healer. Katie, she said. My name is Katie. Vin looked at her with those large black eyes. Thank you, Katie. I will remember this. After Vin left, Lisa came over. Do you think we can trust it? I don't know, Katie said honestly. But we need allies, even small ones. 2 days later, Vin returned. The wound looked better. Vin brought extra food rations this time. More than usual. The guard set them down near Katie and walked away without saying anything. The message was clear. Vin was grateful. Katie called a quiet meeting that night with her core group. Lisa, George, Danny, and a few others gathered close. Katie spoke in a whisper. We need to learn where this ship is going, she said, and we need to send a message to Earth somehow. How? George asked. We don't even know where we are. Vin told me something today, Katie said. This ship is heading to a mining colony. It takes 2 weeks to get there. We're only 6 days in. That gives us 8 days. 8 days to do what? Lisa asked. To take control of this ship, Katie said simply. The group stared at her. Danny shook his head. There are maybe 60 of us. There are at least 30 guards. They have weapons, but they're sloppy. Katie replied. I've been watching them. They're not soldiers. They're just transport workers. Half of them are sick. George leaned forward. Sick how? I don't know exactly, Katie admitted. But I've seen 3 guards coughing. 2 have the same kind of wound that Vin had, infected. Their medical care is poor. They're suffering from something. Maybe a bacterial infection that spreads easily among them. So, what's your plan? Lisa asked. Katie looked at each of them. First, we gather more information. George, I need you to identify weak points in the ship's structure. Danny, keep mapping the guard patterns. Lisa, I need you to prepare everyone mentally. When the time comes, people need to be ready to act. And what will you do? George asked. I'm going to make Zekthor need me, Katie said. 3 days later, the situation changed dramatically. More guards started getting sick. Katie watched as they stumbled through their shifts, coughing and weak. The infection was spreading through the crew. She knew the signs: bacterial, not viral, probably transmitted through their recycled air or water system. The aliens had poor immune systems for this particular strain. Humans were not affected. Katie had checked everyone in the cargo bay. No one showed symptoms. Whatever was killing the aliens did not touch them. It was almost lucky. Almost. Zekthor appeared in the cargo bay on the 10th day. He looked bad. His dark skin had turned pale gray. He was breathing hard. Behind him, Rax, his second in command, stood with a weapon ready. Rax was bigger than most guards, with scars across his face. He was the dangerous one. Katie had marked him as the primary threat from day one. You, Zekthor pointed at Katie. Healer, come with me. Katie stood up. Lisa grabbed her arm. Don't go. I have to, Katie said quietly. She followed Zekthor and Rax out of the cargo bay. They took her to the medical bay. It was full of sick aliens. They were lying on tables, coughing and shaking. Some were already dead. The smell was terrible. Katie's medical training kicked in immediately. She moved through the room, checking symptoms: high fever, respiratory distress, infected wounds that would not heal. She had seen this before in field hospitals: bacterial infection, aggressive strain. Zekthor collapsed into a chair. Fix this, he demanded, or you all die. Katie turned to face him. This was the moment she had been preparing for. I can help, she said. But I need supplies. And I need better conditions for my people. Rax stepped forward, raising his weapon. You do not make demands, human. Katie looked at him calmly. Then watch your crew die. Watch your captain die. See if I care. Zekthor raised a hand, stopping Rax. What do you need? Access to your ship's medical supplies, Katie said. Clean water for the humans. Better food. and I need Vin to assist me." "Why Vin?" Zekthor asked. "Because Vin already trusts me," Katie said. "And I healed Vin once before. The wound is better now. You can check." Zekthor was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "You have what you need. But if my crew dies, you die slowly." "Understood," Katie said. She spent the next 2 days working in the medical bay. Vin brought her supplies and translated when the medical equipment was too alien for her to understand. Katie identified the bacterial infection. It was similar to Streptococcus, but more aggressive. The aliens' antibiotics were not working because they were designed for different biology. Katie had to think creatively. She used her knowledge of field medicine and improvisation. She found compounds in the ship's supplies that could work together as a broad-spectrum antibiotic. She tested small doses first, then larger ones. Slowly, the sick aliens began to improve. The fever broke. The coughing stopped. Wounds started healing. Zekthor recovered enough to stand. He watched Katie work with something that might have been respect or might have been fear. Katie was not sure which. While she worked, Katie also learned. She studied the medical bay's computer system. She memorized the ship's communication frequencies. She watched how the aliens operated their technology, and she talked to Vin. "Why do you help them?" Vin asked one night when they were alone in the medical bay. "They kidnapped you. They will sell you. Because if I don't help, everyone dies," Katie said. "Including me, and including you." "I am not like them," Vin said quietly. "I did not want this job. But my family needed money. This was the only way." Katie looked at the young alien. "You're kinder than the others." "Kindness is weakness here," Vin said. "No," Katie replied. "Kindness is strength. It means you haven't let this place." The 13th day brought new problems. Rax started following Katie everywhere. He did not say anything, just watched with those cold black eyes. When she treated patients in the medical bay, he stood in the doorway. When she returned to the cargo bay to check on the humans, he walked 3 steps behind her. The other humans noticed. They grew nervous. Lisa pulled Katie aside during a meal break. "That big one is planning something," she whispered. "I can feel it." "I know," Katie said quietly. She had felt it too. Rax was waiting for her to make a mistake. He suspected her sabotage but had no proof yet. The moment he found proof, she was dead. George approached with Danny. The engineer looked worried. "I've been watching the ship's systems through the vents," George said. "Something's wrong with the engines. They're running hot. Whoever's piloting this thing doesn't know what they're doing." "Most of the experienced crew got sick," Katie said. "They're running on minimal staff now." Danny nodded toward a group of recovered guards. "Those ones just came back to work. They're still weak. I saw one drop a supply container because he couldn't hold it." Katie thought fast. The crew was weakened. The ship was understaffed. Rax was distracted watching her. This might be their only chance. But they needed a catalyst. Something to create enough chaos for a takeover. That catalyst came the next morning. Katie was in the medical bay checking on a patient when alarms started blaring. The purple lights turned red. The floor shook under her feet. Something had exploded somewhere in the ship. Vin ran into the room, looking panicked. "Engine fire," Vin said quickly. "Section 4. The repair crew is trapped." Zekthor's voice came over the ship's communication system, distorted and angry. "Healer. Get to Section 4. Now." Rax appeared in the doorway. "Move, human." Katie grabbed a medical kit and followed. Rax kept his weapon pointed at her back. They ran through corridors filled with smoke. The heat was intense. Katie could hear screaming ahead. They reached Section 4. The door was sealed shut. Through the small window, Katie could see aliens trapped inside. The room was on fire. The trapped crew members were banging on the door, their mouths open in silent screams. "Open it," Katie demanded. "The fire will spread," Rax said. "They are already dead." "They're not dead yet," Katie snapped. She looked at the control panel next to the door. She did not know how to work alien technology, but panic made people stupid. She hit buttons randomly, hoping something would work. Vin appeared beside her. "Move," the young alien said. Vin's fingers flew over the controls. The door hissed and opened partially. Smoke poured out. Katie did not hesitate. She ran inside, covering her mouth with her sleeve. 3 aliens were on the floor, unconscious. Katie dragged the first one toward the door. Her muscles burned with the effort. Aliens were heavy. Rax stood in the doorway but did not help. He just watched. Katie went back for the second alien. Then, the third. By the time she pulled the last one out, she could barely breathe. Her lungs felt like fire. She collapsed outside the burning room. Vin sealed the door again, containing the fire. Katie coughed hard, gasping for air. She forced herself to sit up. She checked the 3 aliens. All alive, all breathing. She started treating their burns with supplies from the medical kit. Zekthor arrived, moving fast despite his recent illness. He looked at the 3 rescued crew members. Then at Katie. "You went into the fire," he said. It was not a question. "Yes," Katie said between coughs. "Why? They are not your species. They kidnapped you." Katie looked up at him. "Because I'm a doctor. Saving lives is what I do. It doesn't matter whose life it is." Zekthor stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He nodded. A gesture Katie recognized as respect. Rax, standing behind his captain, did not look pleased. The fire damaged the ship badly. 2 engines were offline. The crew had to repair them manually. Zekthor ordered everyone to help, including the human captives. It was hard work, but Katie saw opportunity in it. The humans were now spread throughout the ship instead of locked in one cargo bay. The guards could not watch everyone at once. Katie passed messages through her network of humans. She used hand signals and quiet words. George found the main power controls. Danny located the armory, where the weapons were stored. Lisa identified which guards were still weak from illness, and which were strong. Everything was coming together. On the 15th day, Katie made her second attempt at sabotage. She was in the medical bay late at night, supposedly checking on recovered patients. Rax had finally left his post, called away to help with engine repairs. Katie moved quickly to the communication panel. She accessed Earth's frequencies again and boosted the signal she had sent before. She added new information about the ship's course and the slave trade network Vin had told her about. She was closing the panel when she heard footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Rax. Katie turned just as Rax entered the room. His weapon was already raised. His eyes were full of anger. "I knew it," he growled. "I knew you were betraying us." Katie backed up slowly. Her mind raced through options. She had no weapon. Rax was twice her size. In a straight fight, she would lose. But Katie had not been trained for straight fights. She had been trained for survival. "Zekthor won't be happy if you kill me," Katie said calmly. "I saved his crew." "Zekthor is weak," Rax spat. "He let a human make him grateful." "But I am not weak. I know what you are doing." He moved closer, raising his weapon. The rod began to glow with blue electricity. Katie judged the distance. 3 meters. Too far to run. She needed him closer. "You're right," Katie said. "I sent a message to Earth. They know where we are. They're coming for us." Rax's expression twisted with rage. He lunged forward. That was the mistake Katie had been waiting for. She dropped low and rolled to the side. Rax's weapon missed her by inches. The electricity hit a medical table instead, causing it to explode in sparks. Katie grabbed a metal tray from the floor and swung it hard at Rax's knee. Her combat training had taught her where to hit to disable an opponent. The knee joint was always a weak point, no matter the species. Rax howled in pain and stumbled. Katie hit him again, this time in the throat. He dropped the weapon, gasping for air. Katie grabbed it. and backed away. The weapon was heavy, but balanced. She pointed it at Rax. "Stay down," she ordered. Rax looked at her with pure hatred. "You will die slowly for this, human." "Maybe," Katie said, "but not today." Alarms started blaring again. But this time they were different. Not fire alarms. These were warning signals. Katie heard Zekthor's voice over the communication system. "Unknown vessel approaching. All crew to battle stations." Katie's heart jumped. Unknown vessel. That could mean help from Earth. Her message had been received. Rax realized it too. He tried to stand, but Katie hit him with the electric weapon. He fell unconscious. Katie ran out of the medical bay. The corridors were chaos. Guards were running everywhere. She found Vin in the hallway. "Katie, what is happening?" Vin asked. "Help is coming," Katie said. "But we need to act now, while everyone is distracted." "What do you mean?" "I mean it's time to take this ship." Katie ran to the cargo bay. Most of the humans were there, locked in during the alert. Katie used Rax's weapon to override the door controls. The door opened. 50 humans looked at her in surprise. "Listen to me," Katie shouted over the alarms. "An Earth ship is coming. But we can't just wait to be rescued. We need to help ourselves. We're going to take control of this ship." "How?" someone yelled. "The crew is distracted. Half of them are still weak from illness. The guards are spread out. George knows where the power controls are. Danny knows where the weapons are stored. We have surprise on our side." "We'll die," another person said. Others murmured agreement. Katie stepped forward. "Maybe. But we'll die as free people fighting for our lives. Not as slaves being sold to the highest bidder. I've been in worse situations than this. I've survived combat zones. I've saved lives under fire. And I'm telling you, we can do this. But I need you to trust me." Lisa stood up. "I trust you." She moved to Katie's side. George stood next, then Danny, then more. Within seconds, all 50 humans were on their feet. Katie felt something powerful surge through her. This was leadership. This was what she had been trained for. Not just medicine, but command, making people believe they could survive the impossible. "George, take 10 people and get to the power controls," Katie ordered. "When I give the signal, cut the power to everything except life support and the cargo bay. Danny, take 10 people to the armory. We need weapons. Everyone else, with me. We're going to secure the bridge." They moved as one unit. Katie led them through the corridors. They encountered guards, but the aliens were distracted by the approaching ship. Katie used Rax's weapon to disable 3 guards before they could raise an alarm. Other humans grabbed the weapons. They were armed now. The ship shook as the Earth vessel came closer. Katie heard weapons fire. The 2 ships were engaging each other. Zekthor would be focused on the battle. That gave them precious minutes. They reached the bridge. It was guarded by 4 aliens. Katie signaled for her group to spread out. She stepped into view. Weapon raised. "Drop your weapons," she ordered. The guards turned, surprised. They hesitated. That hesitation cost them. Katie's group rushed forward. There was a brief fight. But the humans had numbers and desperation on their side. Within a minute, all 4 guards were disarmed and unconscious. Katie entered the bridge. Zekthor was there, surrounded by crew members working at control panels. The captain turned and saw Katie. His expression changed from shock to fury. "Impossible," he breathed. "Nothing's impossible," Katie said. She raised the weapon, pointing it at Zekthor. The standoff on the bridge stretched into tense minutes. Katie kept Rax's weapon trained on Zekthor, while the humans secured the alien crew. Lisa and several others were tying the aliens' hands with strips torn from uniforms. The crew did not resist. They looked defeated, exhausted from illness and the failed battle. Vin stood to the side, watching everything. The young alien had not joined the fighting, but had not opposed the humans either. Katie caught Vin's eye and nodded slightly. Vin nodded back. The communication panel crackled to life. A human voice came through, speaking English with a military accent. "Unidentified vessel. This is Lieutenant Chris Bennett of the Earth Defense Patrol ship Horizon. We received a distress signal from this location. Please identify yourself. Katie's heart leaped. Chris Bennett. She knew that name. They had served together in the Army Medical Corps 6 years ago. Chris had been a combat medic like her before transferring to the new Space Patrol program. She moved to the communication panel, keeping her weapon ready. Chris, this is Katie Morrison. I'm transmitting visual now. She activated the video feed. On the screen, Chris's face appeared. He looked older, with lines around his eyes that had not been there before. His expression went from professional to shocked in an instant. Katie? Morrison, is that really you? It's me, Katie said. She smiled despite everything. Sorry about the mess. We had a situation here. Chris stared at the bridge behind her. The tied-up aliens. The armed humans. Katie standing there with an alien weapon in her hands. What the hell happened? Long story, short version. These aliens abducted about 60 humans for slave trade. I organized a resistance. We took the ship. Zekthor here has surrendered. She gestured at the alien captain with her weapon. Chris shook his head in disbelief. You took an entire alien ship with a bunch of civilians? We had motivation, Katie said dryly. Can you board us? We need help securing the ship and medical attention for some people. Already on it. My team is preparing to dock now. Katie, you're amazing. You know that, right? Just doing what needed to be done, Katie replied. But she felt warm inside. Recognition from someone who understood combat situations meant something. The docking process took 20 minutes. Katie heard the clamps connect and the airlock seal. Then Chris and his team came through. They were armed and cautious, but relaxed when they saw the situation was under control. Chris approached Katie directly. He looked her up and down, checking for injuries. You look like hell, he said. Thanks. You too, Katie said. She handed him the alien weapon. Her arms were shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. The captain and his second in command are the dangerous ones. The rest of the crew are just workers. And that one, she pointed at Vin, helped us. Vin gave us information and didn't fight against us. Chris nodded to his team. They began processing the aliens, scanning them and documenting everything. Chris turned back to Katie. We need to debrief everyone. But first, are you injured? Burns, smoke inhalation, nothing critical. Let my medic check you anyway. Katie started to protest, then stopped. She was tired of being in charge, tired of making decisions. She nodded and let Chris guide her to a chair. A young medic examined her while Chris coordinated with his team. George found Katie sitting there. The engineer looked tired but excited. We did it, he said. We actually did it. We did, Katie agreed. Good work on the power systems. Danny and Lisa came over too. Other humans were gathering around Katie, thanking her, crying with relief. Katie accepted their gratitude but felt uncomfortable being the center of attention. She had just done what needed to be done. A commotion at the bridge entrance made everyone turn. 2 of Chris's soldiers were dragging someone in. It was Rax. He was conscious again. His hands bound. His eyes found Katie immediately and burned with pure hatred. This one attacked my team, one soldier said. Found him in the medical bay. He was trying to destroy the communication equipment. Chris walked over to Rax. You're under arrest for kidnapping, illegal trafficking, and assault. You have the right to. Rax spat at Chris. Human laws mean nothing. We were here first. This galaxy belongs to the older species. We were here first. This galaxy belongs to the older species. Not anymore, Chris said calmly. Things are changing. And trafficking sentient beings is illegal under the new interstellar agreements. You're going to stand trial. Rax laughed bitterly. Trial? You think your courts can hold us? There are thousands of ships like this one. Thousands of traders. You cannot stop us all. Katie stood up slowly. She walked over to Rax until she was close enough to see her reflection in his black eyes. You're right, she said quietly. There are thousands of ships. But now Earth knows about them. And we're going to stop every single one. Because that's what humans do. We protect our own. Rax's expression twisted. You should have died in that fire. I should have left you there. But you didn't, Katie said. Because you needed me to save your crew. That was your mistake. You gave me freedom to move around the ship. You let me build trust with people like Vin. You underestimated me because I'm human and female. That was your second mistake. I will kill you, Rax growled. Slowly. No. You won't, Chris said. He nodded to his soldiers. Get him out of here. Put him in the detention cell. They dragged Rax away. His threats echoed down the corridor until a door shut and silenced him. Katie felt shaky suddenly. She sat back down. Lisa put a hand on her shoulder. He's terrifying, Lisa whispered. He's defeated, Katie corrected. That's why he's making threats. It's all he has left. Chris returned and crouched in front of Katie. We've been searching for you for 5 days. The moment your first signal came through, we started tracking this ship, but the signal was weak and kept cutting out. Then yesterday, a stronger signal came through with detailed information. That was you too? Yes, I accessed their communication system twice. The second time, Rax caught me. That was incredibly dangerous. Everything about this situation was dangerous, Katie said. But if I hadn't sent that signal, you wouldn't have found us in time. Chris smiled slightly. Same old Katie. Always taking calculated risks. Someone taught me that, Katie said. Someone who pulled me out of a firefight in Iraq when I got pinned down treating wounded soldiers. That was different. I had backup. So did I this time. 50 scared humans who trusted me to get them out. Chris stood up. Come on. Let's get everyone back to the horizon. We'll tow this ship back to Earth space. The whole crew will be processed. And you all can go home. Home. Katie had not thought about home in days. Seattle. The hospital. Her apartment. It all felt distant. Like another life. She had changed in the past 2 weeks. She had remembered what it was like to lead, to fight, to make impossible decisions. The transfer to the horizon took hours. All 60 humans were checked by medical staff and given clean clothes and food. Katie was treated for her burns and given medication for the smoke inhalation. She was also given a private room to rest in, but she could not sleep. Her mind was too active. There was a knock on her door. Katie opened it to find Vin standing there, flanked by 2 of Chris's soldiers. The young alien looked nervous. Vin wanted to see you, one soldier said. We're supervising. It's fine, Katie said. Come in, Vin. Vin entered slowly. The soldiers stayed outside but kept the door open. Vin looked around the small room, then at Katie. You are well? Yes. Thank you for helping us. I did very little, Vin said. You did everything. You were brave. I was terrified, Katie admitted. But fear doesn't mean you stop. It means you keep going anyway. Vin was quiet for a moment. What will happen to me? I don't know, Katie said honestly. But I'll speak for you. I'll tell them you helped us. That you were kind when others were cruel. That has to count for something. I did not want to be part of this, Vin said softly. The slave trade. My family needed money. I thought it would be simple cargo work. But when I saw the humans, saw their fear, I knew it was wrong. I just did not have the courage to stop it. Katie reached out and gently touched Vin's arm. The alien's skin was cool and smooth. You had the courage when it mattered. You helped me in the medical bay. You gave us information. You didn't fight against us. That took courage. Vin's large eyes glistened with something that might have been tears. Thank you, Katie, for seeing me as more than just one of them. After Vin left, Katie finally slept. She dreamed of fire and alien faces and the sound of alarms. She woke up gasping, covered in sweat. It took her a moment to remember where she was. Safe. On an Earth ship. Going home, Chris visited her the next morning. He brought coffee, real Earth coffee. Katie held the cup like it was precious treasure. The smell alone made her want to cry. "We're 3 days from Earth," Chris said. "The ship will arrive at the orbital station. There's going to be a huge media response. What you did, Katie. It's going to change everything." "I just survived," Katie said. "Nothing special. You led a civilian uprising against armed aliens and won. You treat the orbital station was chaos. News crews from every major network were waiting. Security personnel tried to control the crowds. Katie and the other rescued humans were escorted through back corridors to avoid the worst of it, but cameras still found them. Questions were shouted from every direction. "Katie Morrison, how does it feel to be home? Is it true you performed surgery on the aliens? Did you really take the ship with your bare hands?" Katie ignored them all. Chris stayed close, his team forming a protective barrier. They reached a conference room where officials were waiting. Katie recognized some faces from news broadcasts. Government representatives, military leaders, and one person who made Katie's heart lift. Dr. Helen Park stood when Katie entered. Helen had been Katie's mentor during her surgical residency. She was in her 60s now, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She crossed the room and pulled Katie into a tight hug. "I thought we'd lost you," Helen said quietly. "I'm harder to kill than that," Katie replied, managing a smile. Helen pulled back and studied Katie's face. "You look different. Older." "I feel older," Katie admitted. The debriefing took 6 hours. Katie answered countless questions about the abduction, the ship, the aliens, her treatment methods, the rebellion. She left nothing out. When she mentioned Vin's help, she emphasized how important it was that not all aliens were like Zekthor and Rax. "This young alien showed compassion and helped us," Katie said firmly. "Vin should be treated as an ally, not a prisoner." The officials made notes but gave no promises. Katie pressed harder. "If we're going to interact with alien species, we need to recognize the difference between criminals and decent beings. Vin was trapped in a bad situation, just like we were. Showing mercy here could build important bridges." One general leaned forward. "Miss Morrison, do you understand that you've exposed a massive security threat? These aliens have been operating near Earth for years without our knowledge. They see humans as merchandise." "I understand perfectly," Katie said. "That's why the information I gathered from their ship is so valuable. You now have their trade routes, their communication frequencies, their buyer contacts. You can shut down their operation. But you'll need people who understand both human medicine and alien biology. People who can go into those situations and bring our people home. Are you volunteering?" the general asked. Katie looked him in the eye. "Yes, I am." The room fell silent. Helen looked worried. Chris looked proud. The officials exchanged glances. "We'll discuss this," the general said finally. "For now, you're dismissed. Get some rest. See your family. We'll contact you in a few days." Katie was taken to a temporary apartment in the station. It was small but clean, with a real bed and a shower. She stood under the hot water for 30 minutes, washing away 2 weeks of dirt and fear. When she finally emerged, she felt human again. Her phone had been returned to her. It had hundreds of messages. Family, friends, co-workers, everyone trying to reach her. Katie called her mother first. The conversation was emotional. Her mother cried and asked 1,000 questions. Katie answered them all patiently. Over the next 3 days, Katie gave more interviews and briefings. She visited the other rescued humans, checking on their physical and mental recovery. She met with lawyers about the case against Zekthor and his crew. She reviewed medical data from the alien patients she had treated, helping Earth doctors understand alien biology better. On the 4th day, Katie received a summons to a private meeting. She was escorted to a secure conference room deep in the station. Inside, she found Helen, Chris, and several military officials, including the general from before. Miss Morrison, the general began, we've made a decision about the Interstellar Medical Response Team. We're creating a new division specifically for rescue and recovery of human civilians in alien situations. It will combine medical expertise with tactical training. We want you to lead it. Katie blinked. Lead it? I'm not military anymore. You'd be reinstated with a promotion, the general said. Captain Morrison has a nice ring to it. You'd have full authority to build your team, develop protocols, and respond to situations as you see fit. Helen spoke up. Katie, this is an incredible opportunity. Everything you've learned, everything you've experienced, you could use it to help so many people. But there's risk, Chris added. You'd be going into dangerous situations. First contact scenarios. Hostile environments. Not every mission will end. As well as this one did. Katie thought about the last 2 weeks. The fear. The exhaustion. The impossible decisions. But she also thought about the 50 humans who had trusted her, about Vin, who had shown that connection could cross species lines, about the thousands of other humans who might be out there right now, trapped and scared, waiting for rescue. I'll do it, Katie said. But I have conditions. The general raised an eyebrow. Such as? First, Vin gets asylum on Earth. Full citizenship. That alien helped us and deserves protection. Already arranged, the general said. What else? I want Chris on my team. And I want the authority to recruit civilians with relevant skills. Not just military personnel. Doctors, engineers, linguists. People who can think creatively. Granted, anything else? Katie paused. I want regular psychological support for everyone on the team. What we experienced out there, it changes you. People need help processing that. Done, the general said. He stood and extended his hand. Welcome to the Interstellar Medical Response Team. Captain Morrison. Katie shook his hand. It felt surreal. A month ago, she had been a trauma surgeon, working normal hospital shifts. Now she was a captain, leading a new division into unknown space. The next weeks were a blur of activity. Katie recruited her team carefully. She chose doctors who had military experience, engineers who could work under pressure, a linguist who specialized in non-human communication. She even convinced George and Danny from the rescued group to join. George's engineering skills and Danny's sharp observation would be invaluable. Chris became her second in command. They worked well together, falling back into their old military partnership easily. Lisa joined as a psychological counselor, helping team members process trauma and stress. Vin was granted asylum and surprised everyone by asking to join the team as a cultural advisor. I know how these traitors think, Vin explained. I can help you find them and stop them. Katie's team trained hard. They learned alien ship layouts, practiced emergency medical procedures for different species, studied combat tactics and negotiation strategies. Katie insisted on cross-training. Every medic learned basic tactical skills. Every soldier learned basic first aid. 3 months after Katie's rescue, the team got their first mission. Another distress signal from a human captive. Katie stood in the briefing room, looking at her team. They looked nervous, but ready. Remember, Katie said, our goal is rescue first, combat second. We get our people home safely. We show these traitors that humans protect their own. And we build bridges with any aliens who show us kindness. We're not just warriors. We're healers, diplomats, and protectors. All three. The team boarded their ship, the Mercy. It was fast and well-armed, but also equipped with a full medical bay. Katie took her position in the captain's chair. Chris sat beside her. Vin monitored the alien communication frequencies. Course set, the pilot announced. Take us out, Katie ordered. The Mercy launched from Earth Station and jumped to faster-than-light travel. Stars streaked past the viewports. Katie watched them, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. She had been abducted, enslaved, forced to fight for her life. She could have let that break her. Instead, she had let it forge her into something stronger. The galaxy was huge and full of dangers, but it was also full of humans who needed help. And now, Katie had the tools and the team to provide that help. She was not just a doctor anymore. She was not just a soldier. She was a bridge between worlds, a protector, a leader. Helen had been right. Katie did look different now. She had changed. But it was a good change. She had found her purpose. 6 hours later, the Mercy dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the coordinates of the distress signal. Sensors showed an alien vessel ahead. It matched the profile of Zekthor's ship, another slave trader. All hands to stations, Katie ordered. Medical team. Prepare for casualties. Tactical team. Weapons ready but hold fire. Communications. Open a channel. Channel open, Captain. Vin said. Katie took a breath. Unidentified vessel. This is Captain Katie Morrison of the Earth Interstellar Medical Response Team. We have received a distress signal from humans aboard your ship. Release them immediately, and you will not be harmed. Resist, and we will take them by force. There was a long pause. Then a response came through. The voice was angry and arrogant, speaking in clicks and growls that the translator converted to English. You have no authority here, human. Turn back or be destroyed. Katie smiled grimly. Wrong answer. She nodded to Chris. He pressed a button. The Mercy's weapons locked onto the alien ship's engines. Warning shots fired across their bow. Last chance, Katie said into the communication channel. We will not let you keep our people. We've done this before, and we'll do it again. You can't win this fight. Another pause. Then, reluctantly, the alien vessel's shields dropped. Very well. Take your humans. But this will not end here. Amen en vessels napper livo. Amen en vessels napper livo. Take, you're right, Katie said. It won't end until every human is free and every traitor is brought to justice. Get used to seeing us out here. We're not going anywhere. The rescue operation was smooth. 12 humans were recovered, scared but alive. Katie's medical team treated them, while Chris's tactical team secured the alien crew for arrest. It was over in less than 2 hours. As the Mercy headed back to Earth, Katie walked through the medical bay. The rescued humans were sleeping, finally safe. One of them, a young woman about Katie's age, opened her eyes as Katie passed. Thank you, the woman whispered. They said no one would come for us. They were wrong, Katie said gently. Someone will always come. That's a promise. The woman smiled and closed her eyes again. Katie continued her rounds, checking on each patient. When she finished, she found Chris waiting in the corridor. Good work today, Captain, he said. Good work from everyone, Katie corrected. This team is special. We're going to save a lot of people. Already have, Chris pointed out. Katie looked out the viewport at the stars sliding past. Somewhere out there were more humans in trouble. More aliens who needed to learn that humanity protected its own. More challenges and dangers and impossible situations. She was ready for all of it. Katie Morrison had been abducted by aliens who thought she was just cargo. They had not known she was a field surgeon trained for war. They had not known she could lead a rebellion, organize resistance, and fight back. They had learned that lesson the hard way. Now the whole galaxy would learn it. Humans were not prey. They were survivors, protectors, heroes. And Katie would make sure everyone knew it. I'd both human and alien patients while planning a rebellion. You sent a distress signal that led us to uncover an entire slave trade network. Katie, you're a hero. Katie shook her head. I'm a doctor who didn't want to be sold to a mining colony. That's all. Chris smiled. The Army is going to want you back. The new Interstellar Medical Response Team needs people like you. People who can think under pressure and handle alien contact. I'll think about it, Katie said. But deep down, she already knew her answer. She could not go back to her quiet hospital job. Not after this. She had remembered what it was like to make a real difference. The rest of the journey passed quickly. Katie spent time talking to the other rescued humans, helping them process the trauma. She also reviewed the data Chris's team had pulled from Zekthor's ship. The information was damning. Lists of other ships, trade routes, buyers. The slave network was huge. When they finally reached Earth's orbital station, Katie stood at the viewing port and looked down at the blue planet below. Home. She had fought to get back here, and now that she had, she knew she could not stay. There was too much work to do out in the stars. Order your crew to stand down. Now. The lights went out. George had done it. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in red. The power loss disabled most of the weapon systems. The ship was dead in space. Zekthor's crew looked at their captain, waiting for orders. Katie kept the weapon steady. She was exhausted, covered in smoke and burns, but her hands did not shake. "It's over, Zekthor," Katie said. "You can surrender, or you can watch your ship get destroyed by that Earth vessel out there. Your choice." The captain looked at the view screen. The Earth ship was close now, its weapons charged and ready. Then he looked back at Katie. This human female, who had saved his crew from plague and fire. This human who had just led a slave rebellion and taken his bridge. His expression was complex. Respect, mixed with anger, mixed with something that might have been acceptance. Zekthor raised his hand slowly. "I surrender. Change who you are." Vin was quiet for a moment. "When Zekthor sells you, what will you do?" "I'm going to escape," Katie said simply. "And I'm going to take everyone with me." Vin looked shocked. "That is impossible." "Maybe," Katie said. "But I have to try." On the 12th day, Katie made her move. While working in the medical bay, she accessed the ship's communication system. She used the time when the guards were changing shifts and Zekthor was resting. She entered Earth's emergency frequencies, the ones used by military vessels. She recorded a short message with her location and situation, then she sent it on repeat, buried in the ship's normal communication traffic. She almost got away with it. Almost. Rax appeared in the doorway of the medical bay just as Katie was closing the communication panel. His eyes narrowed. He had seen something. Katie's heart pounded, but she kept her face calm. She picked up a medical tool and turned to check on a patient, as if nothing had happened. Rax walked closer. "What were you doing?" "Human, checking the vital signs monitor," Katie said, not looking at him. "This one's fever is coming back." Rax stared at her for a long time. Katie kept working, her hands steady even though her mind was screaming at her to run. Finally, Rax turned and left. But Katie knew. He suspected something, and he would be watching her now. She had sent the message. Now she just had to hope someone would hear it. And she had to survive long enough for help to arrive. Aim everywhere, whether human or alien. "There are injured people here," Katie called out. "I'm a doctor. I can help them." Zekthor tilted his large head, studying her. "You are cargo," he said. "Not personnel." "Healthy cargo is worth more than dead cargo," Katie replied. "I can keep them alive until you reach wherever you're taking us." The captain was quiet for a moment. Then he made a gesture to one of the guards. "Let the human work," he said. "But watch her." Katie nodded. She turned to the other humans around her. "Anyone else hurt? Sick? Come to me. Come to me." Several people moved forward. Katie began checking them one by one. As she worked, she talked quietly to each person. She learned names. She learned skills. She found out who was strong, who was smart, who could be relied on. She was building something. Not hope. Not yet. But structure. Organization. A foundation. The guards watched her, but they did not interfere. They probably thought she was just another scared human trying to be useful. They did not know that Katie Morrison had survived worse than this. They did not know that she had been trained not just to save lives, but to think tactically, to assess threats, to survive. They had kidnapped the wrong girl, and they were going to learn that the hard way.